Going live now. So I'm going to mute.
Can you send a link, please?
Yeah, once it goes live, I'll do that.
Okay.
Going live now. I'm going to mute.
Can you send a link, please?
Okay, yeah. Once it goes live, I'll do that.
Okay.
Going live.
Okay, I see it. It says Paul Summer.
It doesn't say Self TV, right?
I have shared on the page what I see. We also have 3 minutes to go.
Okay, so I can see it now.
Guys, at this point, we are 2 minutes in. Do we just want to focus on Zoom if YouTube is not going to work?
I guess so. Yeah. So we're going to go straight thing. We have only 18 people waiting anyways. So we have only 18 people waiting anyway. So let's go in. So Hini, you may have to do a broad screen, a big screen. But Suhini, you are an account holder of the YouTube page and on Zoom. So keep trying. If it works, then you let people know. Suhini, did you get that? Okay, guys. So we are going to go in now. TK.
Yes, Paul, I can hear you. Can you stop sharing your screen?
It's not me. It's like we agreed. This is from Suhini.
Oh, okay, okay, all right.
Like we agreed. So anybody joins, they see this for now.
Sure, yeah. We're good. Yes, I'm right here.
Hello, welcome everyone to IDSC Ghana. We are going to be getting on very soon. We have a lot of people joining. Welcome to all of you. We have everyone. You're all welcome. So on the technical side, I'm going to have my technical people introduce themselves quickly, then we can go. So over to you, TK. Can we have you introduce TK and Suhini?
Hello, everyone. My name is TK Mauli Azaglo from Future of Africa. And today I'll be moderating the comments. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Thank you very much, TK, for that introduction. From the SEF side, we have our SEF Comms officer, Suhini Ibrahim, also doing this.
Hello.
So from that point of view, any TK will be handling all your questions. If you have any questions, kindly put it in the chat. TK will be happy to answer your questions. TK, maybe we're lovely to see your face. TK will answer all your questions. Any other technical issues that you may be having, Suhini will be happy to also assist. We kindly ask that you could turn your cameras on, but it will be great to have your audios on mute. When you want to say something, please raise your hand. TK, myself, will admit you to unmute. Then you can have your session. It's great to see a lot more people joining. This is great. We have a big turnout for today. So without wasting much time, I'm going to have Suhini show us some few pictures from our streets today. So over to you, Suhini. Okay. Ernest Ado, can you tell us from your point of view from Tamale what happened today? Just give us a brief of what happened, your street issues like in Tamale. Over to you, Ernest.
Okay, thank you very much, Paul. And once again, good evening to everyone. So in Tamale branch, what happened this morning was that we started the street work around 7:45, where different NGOs came together to converge at one place, where we all held the different placards with different codes, and we're able to go to the different locations where we have the traffic in Tamale. I must say a lot of people in Tamale were really looking at us. I think some people came to us. Some people didn't know what was today's day, what are we celebrating. So we had to take the time to also explain to some of them to understand what we are doing today about International Day for Street Children in Ghana, why this date is always set for them. So we went through and we're located at some of the taxi rank stations, and a lot of people, a lot of school children came out. We also had some children that are doing some apprenticeship job that also volunteer their time to also have these placards around. And I must say, we had a lot of people coming out to share their views to support that. Yeah, it's important that we create this awareness for these vulnerable children in the society and be able to voice out for them, since these are people that could not come out by themselves. So internally, we really had a very nice time. We even finished this evening, the evening section this evening, and I must tell you that the whole people, the whole community internally now understands that the plight of the street children that they face in the streets of Ghana.
Thank you very much, Ernest Addo. That was really, really comprehensive in terms of bringing up to speed to what happened in Tamale. We are going to move from Tamale and drive straight to Kumasi. Safe Child Advocacy. If you can unmute, turn on your camera and tell us what happened in Kumasi. How was the day observed in Kumasi? Which streets were you on and all of that? Safe Child Advocacy.
Well, hello.
Hello, Akwesi Prempre. We can hear you and see you as well. You're still out there on the tell us about what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Well, I think today we all embarked on the same exercise. And then we also went to some principal streets of Kumasi, specifically around the Doom, Amakom, Aunaga Junction, Asafu Market, Abu Abu Station, Dr. Mensa. And the aim was to create awareness for street children on this special day. So we also had some posts on placards, and then we went to create awareness to the public. Most of them were asking questions because they didn't know what today was. So we also find time to explain to them that today is the day that we celebrate our special children, whom for some situations are living on the street and then nobody is caring for them. No one is helping to solve their problems. So we have dedicated ourselves to be the voice of these voiceless children and to speak to the world and the public so that they can also hear these children and then attend to their plea. So our basic aim was to let the public know the theme for this day's celebration.
Akwesi, we have lost you. If you can hear me, we cannot hear you, Akwesi. Maybe your connection.
Am I on?
Yeah, now you're back on. Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah,
again.
I said we also went with some stickers, which we made, talking about this day, and these were also distributed to some vehicles that we came across along the principal streets of Kumasi, so they can also put on their vehicles to continue the awareness, as we as Safe Child Advocacy have declared this month a month to create awareness on this menace of streetism for children in street situation in Kumasi.
Thank you very much, Akwesi, for that lovely update from Kumasi. We will come to Accra. We will be grateful if Rays of Hope from Ashiama can share with us what happened on the streets of Ashiama. Rays of Hope. Anyone from Rays of Hope can just unmute and bring up to speed on what happened in Ashiama.
Okay, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Yeah, this is Rich One Race of Hope Center. Yes. Today was the International Day for Street Children. It was quite an interesting day because in Ashaman, most people could see street children around, and we creating awareness made people to give that extra thought and attention to children. Because in Ashaman, when they do see such people, the impression is that they run away from the street, from the house, they are bad children. But with our interaction with the people today, we were able to create awareness and to even educate them with the course which we shared or which we had. But generally, in all, we were able to move around the principal streets in Ashaman, around the main station, around the traffic light, and the road leading all the way to Spintex Klagon, where we created an impression on all those streets. And yeah, all in all, it was quite a successful event. We are about almost 20 beneficiaries, and everybody at least could see and we could interact as well with the people. So all in all, it was a good day. And then we hope that it's going to change certain things looking forward into the near future. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Richmond, for giving us that update. I'm hoping that this is preparing us really into the conversation. One of our partners did something really, really great. And if you allow me 1 minute, some few minutes, I will share a video that was done by our partner Kinder Paradise, which is showing in a great deal what children out there on the streets go through. So I don't know if you can hear the video from your end. Can you all hear the video? Can you hear the video? Apologies that you could not hear that now. Suhini and TK, maybe we'll play this this again if we have the chance, but all too soon we have to enter the critical conversation that we have set out to have today. So without wasting so much time, I will ask that my panelists, you can pin my panelists to the very top of the discussion. So having on the show today, we are having Dr. Ernestina Denchi, Center for Social Policy Studies, University of Ghana, join us. Dr. Denchi, if you may unmute and say hello to everyone, they would love to see your face as well.
Policy Studies, and I'm really excited about this evening's program.
Thank you very much, Dr. Denchi. Also joining us, we are having the Executive Director of Street Girls Aid, Vida Amweni Amwako. Can you also unmute and say hello to our audience? Hello. Okay, Vida may not be able to, he's not hearing us. We'll go to the next panelist. We have Daniel Awuli Nete from Chance for Children Director. Welcome, Daniel.
Hi, thank you, Paul, and greetings to all those who are joining us. We are grateful that they could join us on this day so that we can really, as the theme says, louder together, we can echo the voice of the street children. I'm very happy to be part of the panel, Paul.
Thank you very much. And you are all welcome once again to this interactive section. Suhini and TK, if you can hear me, it will be time to maybe have our slides up, but we will go straight into action. Let's come to you, Dr. Denchi. Now that we have introduced ourselves, can you tell us briefly what exactly are we celebrating today and why celebrate today?
Thank you, Paul. Yeah, it's a day to be celebrated. I guess we are all alive and we are happy to be doing this together. So we are thankful. We in Ghana, the organizations and myself and all the other supporters have said that we don't even want to use the word celebrate because we have had very few incentives to do that. But we also use the word celebrate to celebrate the children across the globe. Children in street situations have been touted to be resilient, to be strong, to be defiant. I mean, to take lives into their own hands and say that my situation is not good, I have to move on, I have to move forward, albeit that the forward they move become problematic sometimes, like ending up in the streets. But for them to say that whatever the problem is, being an abusive home, being hunger, being poverty, I don't want to live like this anymore. I'm going out there, I'm going to defy all the odds out there and make a life for myself, shows some level of resistance, defiance, and strength. So when we use celebration, really what we are celebrating is the strength and lives of these children. But as organizations and institutions and as a government, I'm not sure there is much to celebrate. So what we have done is to say we are observing the day, because we can't also let the day pass without saying anything. Seeing as the problem is becoming bigger and bigger, it's about time that we begin to blow it on tops of the roofs for everybody to understand that children in street situations doesn't serve anybody. It doesn't serve the government, it doesn't serve the people, it doesn't serve the children themselves. So we observe this day to create awareness, to let everybody know that we need all hands on deck and that the government or NGOs that work with these children are not able to do this without the concerted efforts involving everybody. So we are observing the day to make noise about the day and to make noise about the problem. But we still celebrate to celebrate the strength and resilience that these children display on a daily basis. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Denchi, for that setting us rolling. Dr. Denchi, we are still sticking with you. If we say access for street children for essential services, what do we mean? What exactly? Can you make us understand why we need to give access for children in street situations?
Hello, Paul.
Yes. Did you hear me?
And please come again.
Yes, my question is, what does access for street children mean? Why should we give access to street children for essential services? Can you help us understand, put that in perspective? The theme for this year.
Right. So the theme for this year is access to essential services, and it's part of a four-pronged approach that was adopted earlier over a 4-year period to ensure equity when it comes to children, promoting children's rights and their protection, to ensure that all children have equitable access to the things they need. And so this is the 3rd year of the four-pronged approach, which is last year was safe spaces, protection for children in street situations. And this year we are looking at access to essential services. Paul, access to essential services is enshrined, I mean, in the Universal UN Convention on the Rights of the Children. It is in our Constitution, the Children's Act, that children have the right to basic services such as education, healthcare, shelter, to belong to a family. So these are things that it's a given there are frameworks that guide, that provide the platform or the platform for these to be provided for children. It just so happened that it's not equitable. So some children do not have access to these things. And that is why we have had to now begin to drum it louder, because we shouldn't have even been talking about this, because it's their right. Once they are born into a country, born into Ghana, and they are supposed to enjoy these rights. So we don't even have to ask for them. But it has become necessary for us to do what we are doing, because there has been an inequitable access or distribution of these essential services for children. And that is why we have had to do this. So what we are saying this year is that education is a basic right. Healthcare is a basic right. Shelter is a basic right. Food is a basic right. The right to be a child, the space to play and express themselves is basic. But these ones are not having them. And that is why we are drumming it home more. We are drumming it home louder this year, that please, let's make this available for the children. Without that, they can't thrive. So that is what I would say in terms of access to essential services or basic services for children in street situations.
Thank you for doing justice to that. But I just let our audience know what is different about this year, that and what have led to various NGOs and you from the academia being able to collaborate so perfectly to have a webinar like this. Can you give us the background to how this initiative actually was able to come into fruition?
Right, thank you. So I would say that for the past 4 years, I've been actively working, doing research in the area of children in street situations. So I started with the children themselves in Accra, Kumasi, and Takoradi, and continued in Accra in 2018 into 2019. Then I realized that there is most of the children will talk about having assistance from one NGO or the other. When you ask if they have received any government assistance, they say no. But when you ask for kinds of support that they have received, NGOs would come up strongly. They would even give names of NGOs. I'm going to Kinder, or I was at Kinder, or I was at SEF or CAS. So it became apparent that these NGOs are playing a very significant role in the lives of these children. So I decided to take a step back and then work with the NGOs, get to understand what they are doing, how it is like to operate in a space like this, working for these children. So I decided to do a study with NGOs. I interviewed 15 NGOs in Accra and Kumasi. I had to stop. I stopped because in qualitative research, we call something, we hit saturation. You get everything you want and nothing new is coming up. That doesn't mean the only 15 street children organizations working, but by the 15th organization, I had what I needed. So as part of the interviews, I explored if they had any in the past, they have had coalitions or a reason to work together in the past. And then it emerged that there had been attempts, but these have failed along the line. So as of the time I was doing the interview, there was no umbrella body or any organized effort to carry out the work that they are doing. So I proposed the idea to them that do they think it would be a good idea for us to come together to do this? And the enthusiasm was massive, very heartwarming. So that is how we came to this point. So I had a public dissemination at the University of Ghana, very well attended, and all the NGOs I interviewed were present. Right after the dissemination, we had our first meeting on 15th November 2019, and we've been rolling since then. If I have the permission, can I just quickly mention these organizations? So we have SEF, Street Children Empowerment Foundation, we have Street Girls Aid, we have Kinder Paradise, we have Chance for Children, we have the Street Child Advocacy, we have the Muslim Counseling Family Foundation, we have, I have mentioned Chance for Children, yes. And so we have Rays of Hope at Ashaiman. We also have Cherish a Child Foundation. And then we have Tamale. We have 2 organizations in Tamale that have worked with us, Mr. Abdullahi Dana and Mr. Abdullahi they have worked with us up to this time. And then the Street Social Workers Network that brings together social workers that work with street children have also been a part of this. So this is how we started, and we've been rolling since November 2019. There will be a time to properly acknowledge all these organizations. So in case I missed you, please forgive me. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dinchi, for putting this into perspective. TK will be sharing all the organizations that have agreed to collaborate after Dr. Dinchi's dissertation. All organizations will be on the chat, their website, everything regarding that will be there. So now we go into one senior fellow among all of us, the NGOs working with street children here, Mrs. Vida Amweni Amwakun. She is welcome to the session. When I called your name earlier, we couldn't have you.
Yeah, I'm here now.
Yes, great to have you. How long has this phenomenon of children in street situation been in Ghana, since you are the oldest organization among all the local NGOs here?
Okay, thank you, Paul. The first organization actually that came in was Response. That came in to start, that was in 1993. That came in after a research on street children. And then Catholic Action came in, Street Girls Aid came in, and the others came in. So it's been since 93. So how many years? So many years ago, yes.
Go on.
8 years ago, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. And can you tell us? Yeah, go on.
Please go ahead with the question and then I'll answer it.
Okay. So my question is, what does access mean for you when it comes to all these years? How has the situation been from 1993 when you started this work for like children in street situations?
Okay, I think I would speak from the perspective of Street Girls Aid because we are more of a girls and baby-centered organization. So I'll speak more about the issue of girls. I think that access to girls, the girls on the street are the most vulnerable in terms of facilities or in terms of protection or in terms of care. Girls on the street are unprotected. They are exploited in so many ways. They lack access to basic services. Girls on the street get pregnant and then there's no care for them to have medical care or go to the hospital. Girls lack access to basic things in our area of care. Girls who have babies, it means that they need access for their children. So early childhood care is also very important. In the past, all these things were not available. Girls on the street would just walk about during the day, do their menial jobs, and then the few of us who were out on the street will talk to them and direct them to a few of the services that was around. So basically, I think that girls are lack access to basic things on the street. They are unprotected, they sleep rough, and boys and men take advantage of them. They are harassed by adults who use their services. So girls, there are a lot of issues when it comes to girls because they are, when you talk about vulnerability, even though the boys are vulnerable, the girls are even more vulnerable because sometimes they are not alone, they have their babies with them and all those things. So yeah, basically that is it.
Okay, going just one step back again. I mean, among the NGOs here, I can be corrected, but from what I am reading, apart from CAS, Street Girls Aid may be one of the oldest organizations here. Can you give us a bit of a history lesson before Dr. Dinchi's dissertation? What are some of the efforts to bring all the local NGOs together? So it would become like a partnership work to be able to stand together and fight it so that the girl child and the boy child are all equally protected and this happens?
I think the very organization that set us up, Street Girls Aid and Catholic Action, was meant to be more of like a network that has street children organization underneath it. But response didn't survive the time. It just fizzled out. And then over the years, we had come also UNICEF supported, where there were some organizations that has tried to come together, and under UNICEF we had worked very well because UNICEF was the one holding us. But when funding from UNICEF stopped, the group also fizzled out. Also, we had tried another attempt with Danida, and that's one too. Danida was the one holding us together. And then when funding stopped, we kind of went our separate ways. We had tried also with other organizations not under these funders, and still it didn't really work. So some of us, I think, have been very skeptical about these kinds of networks or coalitions, but I'm happy that this is happening, and I'm sure that this one will go to greater heights. Looking at what happened this morning and what is happening now, I think we are all determined to let this process move ahead. So on this note, I want to say kudos to every organization on this platform who has genuinely contributed their bit to make this happen. I'm so happy to be part of this.
Thank you very much also for agreeing to be a part of the local Ghana country level initiative where we are all trying to make this this happen. So once it's homegrown, what do you envisage, Vida, still with you, if we do not advocate strongly for girls to get access? What are some of the consequences that we could have on the streets?
Okay, as I've already mentioned, girls are very vulnerable, so that it means that girls need to be taken up by us. If we do not take care of the girls, then the girls will live on the streets, they will live there with their children, and the cycle of poverty would continue. So the onus is on us to be able to reach out to the girls and help empower the girls. In fact, it's very important that we empower them. Through empowerment, these girls will be able to take care of themselves and take care of their babies. I'm so passionate about babies, so you hear me talking about babies all the time because that's my passion. So, so that we take care of them and the cycle of poverty would not continue. We also have to ensure that girls have access to education on either on the street or out of the streets, wherever they are, they need to have access to education. And as I said, if they don't, it means the cycle of poverty continues and they and their children suffer. We have a recent phenomenon on the streets. We in Street Girls Aid call it babies carrying babies. This is a trend where children of about 6 to about 9 years who have to be in school are on the streets carrying their younger siblings, 1 to 3 years old, whilst their mothers go around during the day working. This means that these children, we are deriving them of an education. And this must stop, because if we don't stop this trend, it means that these children will forever be on the street. And I think that's not what we all want. We want these children to live a better life outside the streets.
Thank you very much for that. We are going to come to you, Daniel. So if you can kindly tell us, Daniel, what are the main factors countrywide that leads to this phenomenon, like children in street situation?
Thank you, Paul. Yeah, I must say that there are lots of factors when it comes to the phenomenon of street children. Factors, or even more of those factors, can lead to a child coming onto the streets. And like I said, there are multiple, and they are also sometimes very, very complex. But let me try and then put them all together. So you have economic factors, as we all know, economic factors that push the children to the streets. A lot of these kids are coming from deprived areas, which are poorly developed. They lack essential. We are talking about access. They lack essential, facilities for these children, and these things kind of push these children out of those communities to where they can have access to these facilities. And then also we have issues of culture. Some of there are certain negative cultural practices also that push children to the streets. And there are a lot of them. Some of them are child marriages. Some of them are issues where a relative dies and a relative inherits the wife and the children. And then the one who inherits the wife and the children tend to neglect the needs of these children. Then they also find their way, to the streets to make a living. Then we also have a lot of issues such as even our own system of educational system sometimes push these children also on the streets. We have a system where when kids are having learning difficulties, sometimes it's seen as a problem, or it's not even seen as a problem, but then you find out that some of these teachers, instead of taking time to really find out what the cause is, they rather end up abusing the children. They are being teased, and some of them, they cannot stand some of these things. So they end up finding themselves out of school and then also on the streets. There are also issues of abuse in families. There are a lot of them abuse in the families. Either a father is abusing the mother, and the kids cannot, and then the children as well, or relatives abusing the children. It's an issue where it pushes these children onto the streets. So these are basically a lot of push factors. Then what about when you come also to the pull factors? You have a lot of these kids that have their colleagues in the streets or on the streets. They come to the streets and then they paint a certain nice picture about the cities. So a lot of these kids that see them would also want to come to the cities to enjoy some of these non-existent goodies. And these issues push them to come and then find these things. And then we also have situations where, like I said, there's a huge gap between the North and the South. Okay, then you have the South that have lots of facilities. They have lots of good schools and health facilities. And then you have the North that is deprived of these things. You would definitely have a lot of these youth who would want to come up South in order for them to make ends meet. And then you also have opportunities. Unfortunately, there are a lot of the communities that are deprived, and they don't have opportunities for these young people. And sometimes they think they can find these opportunities. Yes, some of the opportunities exist in these in the South, but then when they come out, either they are not well prepared for it, or they are not well trained to grab some of these opportunities, and then they end up being on the street. And Paul, finally, let me also talk about the second and third generation street children. For these kids, they are kids that are products, or they are born on the street. So they are born on the street. They are not children that left from other communities. And I think Vida made mention of it. We are having a lot of them that are really in the cities now, because there are lots of the children that are giving birth to children themselves. And so you have children that are growing up, not knowing where they are coming from, not knowing any other external family members. And for some of us who are working with them, it's even difficult to find out when you want to reintegrate them. Where do you reintegrate them? Because they already are within the community of the street. So where do you send them? They don't have any relative outside that they know of. So there are multiple factors. These are not exhaustive. There are a lot of them. But these are a few that I will just mention.
Wow. Thank you for that. But you know, when you were making your presentation, you mentioned opportunities and attraction to the South. So for you at CFC, Chance for Children, what does access mean for urban-rural migration, rural-urban migration? If we are going to give street children access to essential services, what would that mean for you?
Well, you are talking about, I think Dr. mentioned it, you are talking about essential facilities that we all need, right? Every child would need to in order to develop. So lack of it, you know, would definitely affect the development of every child. So for us, we are really, you know, passionate about it, that every child, no matter your condition, where you are, you need to have access to these essential facilities. You know, lack of it will result in these kids missing out on education, missing out on health, you know, missing out on, you know, basic developmental, you know, issues, because they will not, you know, have access to, I mean, some of them have access to certain negative things like, excuse me to say, games and things that they spend a lot of time at those places. But unfortunately, it does not really contribute anything to the upbringing, the holistic upbringing of these children. So lack of these things affect them. So for us, we would really, you know, Chance for Children and all the other NGOs, we are really pushing that these facilities are made available for the children. We know that when you go to the health services, national health insurance is supposed to be free for street children. But sometimes when these kids go, they are turned back or they are turned down, and we are fighting for it, that these kids, you know, are given access to these things, because they are also part of the society, and we are missing out on a chunk of our human resource if we don't give them chance to develop in a holistic way. They will end up, you know, being a burden onto the community. So it's a very, very important topic to address.
So just to finally on a follow-up on this. So would you say that is a contributing factor to having Chance for Children have offices in Kumasi and in Tamale? Because then would you say that contributed to your decision?
Yeah, it's one of the factors, one of the key factors that contributed to us moving to Tamale and also to Kumasi. We realized that, I mean, for years we've been dealing with the, let me put it, because I have an economic background today, we've been dealing with the end products. And the end products are when the children end up on the streets. And when it comes to that stage, Paul, you know it's very difficult to handle. So Chance for Children and some of the NGOs that are in the North, we thought of, okay, why don't we tackle these things from the root, where the situation is coming from? So we go into the communities and then educate the communities, show them, you know, pictures of some of the kids, what they are going through in the South. We also try to, you know, mobilize the stakeholders within the community, the education sector, the health sector, to know that, hey, we need to give opportunities to the children over here, or else we would lose them and they will go to the South and they will not, you know, turn out well. So it's some of the reasons that, you know, contributed to us moving in the, working with the localities, working with various stakeholders that contribute to ensuring that children have a holistic and then a holistic growth or development. So these are some of the factors that led us to go to the North. We didn't want to sit in the South and solving the problem as they come. We wanted to go to the North, and then also to some extent the middle part, which is Kumasi and its environment, to tackle the issue issues in there and prevent the children from moving to the south to become street children? Oh.
Thank you very much for that. I'm going to move to the ministry. But before I do that, I want to acknowledge the presence of Dr. Afisa Zakari, Chief Director, Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection. If you are here, can you kindly unmute your mic and wave to all of us? We just want to know that our ministry is here and listening in. Dr. Afisa Zakari, Zakaria, sorry. Okay, she would be joining us soon. But the next person who is going to help us with this discussion is Miss Agnes Abolimpo, sorry. Apologies if I didn't pronounce your name quite right. I want you to tell us, what has the ministry or DSW done so far in terms of programs, policies, to promote the right of children in street situations? Miss Agnes, are you here? Okay, great. So we are helping to, I can understand the ministry is having some issues, technical issues to log in, and Richmond is helping to resolve that issue. While at that, I'm sure you can all attest to the fact that we have been going a bit 30 minutes into this conversation. We are going to have a street champion join us with his views, with his experiences. So he's also being queued whilst we are preparing for the ministry to join us. Yes, I want to also state that we are streaming live on YouTube now. The link has been shared with all. TK and Suhini are sharing this link also on all the group chats. So you can share it while anyone else who may not have been able to join us can join us from there. So far, we have 55 people attending this webinar and a lot more people watching through YouTube. Thank you for anyone who is here while I try to reconnect. So, okay, so we are going to come to our street champion now to get his perspective. So Michael, he's with us, a social worker at the Street Children Empowerment Foundation. So Michael, if you can unmute your mic, and Roland, welcome to the discussion.
I am Roland, and I am a beneficiary of SAFE. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Roland. You're welcome to the show.
I am Roland. I am a beneficiary of SAFE. There are many children on the street who are suffering, who are facing many problems.
Roland, hold on 1 minute for me. I want us to take this one step after the other. Can you tell us, what is your experience on the streets? Can you start with that?
To be on the street is not safe. It's very risky because there are people that will be bullying you, especially the girls. They will be having sex with the girls without paying them because the girls do prostitution for money. Some will be raping them not for money, especially the area boys. They'll be bullying them. Even if it is coming to rain, it is hard for them to find a place to sleep. If now there is a flood that is coming, it can take them all away.
So Roland, thank you. I don't mean to cut you, sorry, but when you were on the streets yourself, what did you used to do? Bring us a bit close to your life when you were on the streets.
When I was in the street, I washed cars for people to pay me. I help people to unload their goods from cars for money. I carry load.
So what did you think of when you were going through this experience on the streets?
It is very difficult for me because I do not go to school. I don't know how to write. Even people cheat me because I don't know maths.
Yeah. Wow. So if what would access to essential service mean to you? So when you were on the street, if you got access to education, to health, to protection, what would it have meant for you if when you were on the street?
There's nothing going on happy. Like I'll be very happy.
Okay, you would have been very happy if you got that opportunity. So now you were saying something in the beginning. What do you think should happen to the rest of the children out there when it comes to access to essential services?
They must be helped. You should have to help them. The government, I mean everybody, you should have to help them like the other organizations are doing. You should have to provide them shelter, education. Education is the key to success. So education is the one of the important things. Shelter, healthcare, because you need to provide them health insurance so that when they are sick, they must use it to go to hospital. Once that I was the street, when we were sick, me and my colleagues, we didn't have money to go to the hospital or health insurance. So we will be there, we will just go and work and we just buy some medicine that our money will reach.
Wow, that must be difficult. That should have been very difficult for a child to have to make that decision. How old were you at the time when you were on the street?
I was 9 years old.
Wow, this is just heartbreaking. But I'm happy that today you are able to find your voice and you are able to speak for so many other children out there. So what is the key thing you would want to tell all of us? I can imagine it's getting quite late for you, so you may be leaving our conversation. So assuming that the president is listening to you now, the minister is here because they have sent a representative to us. What do you want the president to do about this situation, giving access to children in street situations?
I want the government or anybody or the minister to help them, to provide them education, to provide them a good shelter, to provide them healthcare, free education, free shelter, and provide them food.
Great. Roland, there's a question from our audience participants. One year, Isuman wants me to ask you, when you were on the street, where were your parents and why did you end up on the streets?
My mother is dead 30 years ago, and it is my father who who took care of me. But my father too, even times find difficult for work. So me too, I work on the street for money. It is not every day that my father provides me money.
Wow, so that's how you ended up on the street. To correct that, that is Mama, a colleague from the Ghana Social Workers Union in the UK. Mama, thank you for your question. Please keep posting your questions. TK and Suhini will be answering all of that, all your questions as well. Now we are going to go. It's Agnes having a stable connection now, so we could take that. If not, we'll move on to the second field. Roland, thank you. We'll come back to you if you can hang on for a while for us. Okay, do I have indication Agnes is here? Okay, we are not having luck with Agnes this time. So we are going to come back to you, Dr. Denchi. Is there an ecosystem for this impactful work that is happening in Ghana? Is there like a support base? Is there like a national ecosystem for this kind of work based on all your research and the findings you've done so far?
Thank you very much, Paul, for that question. From my research, I haven't discovered anything of the sort. And I believe that by ecosystem, you are asking for the multi-layered system, individual, community, institutions, and then the macro, the government at the top. So you are asking if there is a system like that that work hand in hand to address the situation of street children. Not
Exactly.
yet. And that is what I think all of these have been about, trying to get this ecosystem in place so that it becomes an issue of collaboration, multi-sectorial, agency, because when during my interviews, one of the things that came up, and which Mr. Ulinati has also said, that you go to children, street children are raped, you take them to the police, and they want you to pay before they even start opening a case. You need to pay for legal services. There is no connection. We really don't have that system. So everybody is working in silos and in their corners. And that's what's making the work of the NGOs very difficult, because they are supposed to be concentrating on some part of the work of street children, but they end up doing almost everything. So we also have instances where we didn't even know that some street children have chronic health conditions that require them to be on medication for a lifetime. And so an NGO that is into providing education and then day-to-day help for these children may have to spend a chunk of their resources trying to get these children that have chronic health conditions medication for the rest of their lives. And they say this is a very difficult situation because you take the children back into their hometown or reintegrate them, and you know the family is not in the position to provide these services for the child. Yet your funders have also given you money specifically for education of street children. So you can't take so much of that money to be providing healthcare services for a child that has a chronic health condition. And if this ecosystem you are talking about were in place, there would have been a smoother way of addressing this issue so that it doesn't become the burden of just the NGO. So my simple response to your question would be that I didn't. In the 4 years that I've actively been working and in the 2 years that I've been engaging you organizations, I haven't come across an ecosystem, a connected system of layers of
based on
support.
your based on your academic background, who would you say are the main stakeholders that should contribute to building an ecosystem in this field, so we can achieve, or so that the works of the NGOs can thrive?
Right. So if I want to use what's so we have the individual at the center, we have the immediate community, immediate family of the individual, nuclear and extended, then a community in which they live. Then we come to institutions, the meso-level institutions like yours, the NGOs, faith-based organizations, and all these institutions that are working, people, individuals who decide to throw soup parties every now and then, or send things to street children every now and then, are all in this, at this particular level. Then you look at the macro, because their children belong to the states. So many people are laying it at the feet of government, and I'm not sure it is out of place that they do that. It is just that government cannot do this by themselves. So we have them at the top, at the macro level, with policies, with resources, and an enabling environment that allows the other layers, the other part of the ecosystem to thrive. So if you ask me, the individual, the children themselves are a part, the institutions that are currently working with them, their families, their immediate families, nuclear and extended, communities in which they live are a part of this ecosystem. Then NGOs, and then the government. So the relevant ministries, first the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, then health and education, and to some extent local government. So the relevant ministries representing the government. Then So that is what, these are the key actors that I will consider, including the children. It is very important because they are agentic here. They are not passive victims of what is happening. They decide to make the decision, good or bad. They decide to look out for themselves because the care structures are not working. And then they move from frying pan into fire in their bid to do that. So the children are a key stakeholder when it comes to this. Yeah.
Thank you very much. But I want you, before you conclude, what would you recommend? I just noticed that Miss Agnes Abolimpo have just joined us. So she is listening to you. What would you recommend to a key stakeholder like her and all of us that are listening in this webinar?
Okay, so I would want to say that it is for good reason that the 17th goal of the SDGs talks about partnerships. So that's all I'll leave with everybody, that this requires partnerships, all hands on deck. And that's why I'm proud of the NGOs that have come together to do this for the first time. And we are also very hopeful that this is going to move and grow in leaps and bounds as we work together, because we are louder together. So what I will leave is partnerships. The ministries should open their doors to us. Academia should open their doors, media, private sector, they should all open their doors to work with us on this. We cannot achieve this without partnerships. So that is the one word I'll leave with everybody, partnerships.
Thank you. Miss Agnes Abolimbo, you are welcome to the show. Forgive me if I didn't pronounce your name correctly. Behind you, we've discussed quite a lot. We've had a child actually lay before your office a request. But before we leave here, I'll make sure that he repeats that so you can repeat that to the sector minister. We would want to know what your ministry and the department has been doing so far in terms of programs, policies to promote the right of children in street situations. Miss Agnes? Okay, I would want to also acknowledge, whilst we try to get her ready, I would like to acknowledge the presence of... Yes,
Hello?
Okay. Yeah, please go ahead.
What I said is, I would like to first of all apologize for entering the meeting late. I encountered some challenges. They kept asking me to provide an authorization before entering the meeting. And finally, Richmond was able to help me do that. And thank you very much. My chief director is on this meeting, and I apologize to her too for entering late. On what my department and the ministry have done so far in terms of street children, in 2011, the department published a census on street children in the greater Accra region in collaboration with street children, Catholic Action for Street Children, Street Girls Aid, and then there is this German word, Richera Corporation. They sponsored that particular census. And within that, a lot of sponsors came in to come and help place the children in schools by providing school uniforms, food for them, and other assistance. And then also in 2015, we also embarked on a project dubbed From Street to School Projects. And the Street to School projects was to get the children from the streets and put them into schools so that at least their plights will be minimized. So we did it in the Tema metropolis, and then a lot of children were rescued from the streets and then placed in schools. That was in 2015. And it was sponsored by the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection in collaboration with the Department of Social Welfare. And then also We also had another program that we did. That is Operation Get Off the Streets Now for a Better Life. That one was
very
also
popular with all of us. Yeah.
Yeah, that was quite recent, I think around 2017 or so.
Yes.
It was in 2017, actually. And that was also done by the Department of Social Welfare in collaboration with the Ministry of Gender, Children, and Social Welfare, our mother organization. And with, okay. Yeah, we did all these things for the children. And then we also sometimes go to their abodes, the streets to meet them. And then we do needs assessments. We try to take data from them, their bio data, and then we do a needs assessment. We have been doing that. Quite recently, we were in Ayawaso Central, just about a couple of weeks ago, and we met with a number of them, and we realized that what we did with the Operation Get Off the Streets for a Better Life did not go down the drain. We realized that that has given the children a very important message, that majority of them have agreed that now they are eager to go to school, even though with the first exercise that we did, we placed a lot of them in skills training. And within a few months, they ran away. I'm sorry to say that.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. It looks like our time is really running out. And apologies that it looks like I am coming in, but I have a couple of questions that are stemming from the earlier conversation we've been having so far. But before I go into that question, I want to acknowledge the presence of Professor Na Ekwia Anyidoho, the Director for Center for Social Policy Studies. Now, Ms. Agnes, if you may, a lot of us have expressed desire, willingness to collaborate with the ministry, to do partnership work. In your course of trying to help street children, what are some of the challenges you have encountered, and how would you relate that to our appeal to have partnership work with the department and the ministry?
Okay, our challenges, I would say, borders on when sometimes we rescue these children from the streets. We try to place some of them in skills training. We take some of them to school. We've taken a lot of them to Bourgeoisie. And then to our surprise, they leave the school and they are back on the streets. Those that we rehabilitated and tried to get them out of this Indian hemp thing, after 6 months, we realized that some of them have started taking it again. And they even started planting it in our facility where we sent them for shelter. And then when we realized it, we had to call the police to ransack them. And so, you know, the challenges are there. That does not mean that it isn't all of them who agree to get off the streets. There are some of them who are successfully in schools, in skills training. Some of them have been integrated into society. Some have also been reunified. They've been reunified with their families. And I can say we even, there are about 196 of them, the reunification, 196 of them have been reunified with their families.
Ms. Agnes, maybe let me rephrase my question. I am asking that...
These are some of the things we've done.
Okay. A lot of the earlier comments have pointed to the fact that partnership work, the NGOs are kind of like doing what you have mentioned. How do you see the possibility of partnership work between NGOs that are doing this 8 to 5 and your department? How do you see that happening? Yeah.
Partnership would surely happen. I think we should try to collaborate most of the time. And then reporting is also another factor that will intensify the partnership. When we form networks, we can form a network that would link all of us, so that when we find something unusual about a child that is on the streets, maybe abuse or anything, we can report it to the Department of Social Welfare. And then those who also, there are some parents who also sometimes deliberately abuse their children. And then you find these children running away from home and they are on the streets. If all these things are reported to the department, I think it will solve. And it is partnership that can help us do that. We can form a network. Let us form a network, and then we have a directory of the network, so that any ideas that we have, we can share the ideas on the platform, and then the partnership goes on. And with that, I believe that this menace will be addressed.
Okay, a quick question from one of our listeners on the webinar. Is there a national agenda for street children, as it seems to her that previous interventions have not been successful?
Yes, the department and the East Mother organization, the gender ministry, have an agenda for street children. There are plans to work further and then to advance on our earlier strategies. You know, when you start something, it isn't always that you are going to chalk 100% successes. But I think that the successes we have chalked so far are worth mentioning, and they are worth writing home. So what the department and the ministry are now doing is to re-strategize, so that our earlier strategies, we improve upon them and see how best we can arrest the situation. We are planning to get shelters where we can send these children to, so that whenever we pick them, because we don't just go and pick them, mass collection of children from the streets, and you don't know where you are sending them to. So what the ministry is planning is to get shelters in place so that we can send them. Even right now, we are placing some of them whenever we get some of them, and we realize that they don't have parents and they can be placed with foster parents. We do it.
All right.
And all that, yeah.
Thank you. The final one from one of our is your national agenda national in character, as in looking at the north, other urban places in the north, and all of that. And are there any timelines for this strategy?
For now, I would say that with the exercises we did so far, most of the time we base our research and everything in Accra. But now we want to expand. We want to expand to the regions. Actually, it's not the ministry or the department that is mandated to undertake such exercises. It is the district assemblies. So what we are planning to do now is to get more in touch with the district assemblies, get them to do the work, and then we would supervise.
Thank you very much. On that note, I would like to, because our time is gone, I would like to take some concluding remarks from everyone, and maybe then we can bring these curtains to a close. We thank you very much that you joined this even after you have your hard day's work. So we don't want to make this any longer. The link is on YouTube. You can watch it over and over. We have the contact of all of us, our Facebook pages. TK have shared all the Facebook pages of the various participating organizations, so you can do that. So before we go, the first thing will be for Roland. Roland, Agnes is representing the state, the president. What do you want her to tell the president when she gets his audience? Roland, over to you. What do you want Madam Agnes to tell the president when he meets the president?
I want Madam Agnes to tell the president that my colleagues on the streets need help. They are suffering from bullying. They are not educated. And as I want Madam Agnes to tell the president to help the street children to get their shelter, education, healthcare.
Thank you,
Okay.
Michael. Thank you. I'll do just that.
Okay, so Roland is actually talking from a social works Zoom account. So that's Roland speaking on behalf of all children on the street. I'll come to you, Auntie Vina. You have worked with girls for years, street girls for years. What would you say if we are planning a partnership for national development for street children? What factors must we take into account when it comes to street children? Then I'll come to you, Daniel, the same way, and then Dr. Dinchi, then we can bring this to a close. So we have 1 minute each, and then this will be over.
Okay, I think the issue of girls is a complex one. So when we are planning for girls, we should put in place issues that are gender sensitive. Girls will come in with their own special needs. They have several needs, such as shelter. Girls will come in pregnant. Girls will need childcare. Sanitary pads, even issues that when we are planning for girls programs, we should be looking into. We should, a girls program should be more of a holistic program so that all their basic needs would be met. Yeah, I think for lack of time, I will just say that.
Yes, yeah. Daniel.
Okay. Paul, sorry, I think my line broke a bit, but if I understand you, you are asking what can be done or what should be done, right?
The way forward.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So I would like to say that the issue of street children or street children is a very complicated issue, and we need all on board. So we need the government to be, taking up the leadership mantle, and we need the NGOs also that are working within their own individual space to collaborate, to come together in order for us to, solve the issue. Because it's a very complex issue, it's a very big issue, and we have to be on top of issues. And we also, Paul, I also like to say that we need the institutions, the heads of institutions, the police, the various health services providers to collaborate with us, because it's sometimes very difficult working with them. I think Dr. mentioned it. It's a bit difficult working with them. So we need those heads of institutions to be up and doing and to collaborate with us in order to find a holistic solution for the street children.
Okay, Madam Agnes, I'll come back to you again so you can give us your concluding remarks, taking into consideration whether all the NGOs here, you see them in the picture when it comes to coming up with a national strategy to address the issues of children in street situations.
Thank you. This issue really needs all hands on deck. One organization cannot work in isolation. And therefore, I see all these NGOs in our strategy. When we are together, it will be better. We will chalk better successes. We cannot do it alone. So I will entreat everybody to report the slightest, I wouldn't say the slightest, any abuse of a child or any abandonment of a child. Anybody that abandons the child, please report it to the department. Any abuse, report it, please. I'm entreating all of you, and let's work together, hand in hand, so that we can save our children from this menace.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll give the convener of all of this, Dr. Dinchi, 1 minute to conclude as well. And then apologies that we have gone past our time by 7 minutes. Dr. Dinchi, you have 1 minute, please.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you. And thank you to everybody. This inspires a lot of hope. And what has happened here today, we are so happy. I was so happy when the chief director for MOXIP called to say the minister had seen our letter and had asked her to represent her here. So this is the beginning of good things. I'd like to encourage all the NGOs on board and everybody who has listened to us this evening to please don't stop, check on us, ask how we are doing, ask how it's going, hold us accountable to anything and everything you have heard us say here, and let's forge this forward. It looks possible, so let's do it. Thank you.
Okay, on behalf of all the participating organizations, I'll start from my organization, like you see in the background, Street Children Empowerment Foundation. Future of Africa, TK is actually my co-host on the technical side. He leads the Future of Africa. We have Chance for Children. Daniel Nete, Awule Nete is from Chance for Children, one of our panelists. We have Antivida Amwini Amwakun from Street Girls Age. We have Kinder Paradise, Silky Haike are here, they are listening. Thanks for being good partners. We have Race of Hope also being a part of this. I see several other organizations that have joined locally. We had together close to about 60 people on this conference, internationally, locally, heads of departments and all. Safe Child Advocacy in Kumasi. We are so grateful. Sister Olivia and the team, Tijani and the team from Muslim Family Counseling Services in Kumasi, Mr. Dana and the strong team up north holding the fort for all of us. We are really, really grateful. Everyone who have joined, please go to our various Facebook pages. It's been shared on the group chat. You can see all of our details there. One thing that I am so proud of is Dr. Denchi Cast set the ball rolling and is gathering more. Please join us. Let us all together go to our pages, send any information to self. We'll share with any of the members. So together we can make this happen. Together is the only word here. If we don't work in partnership, there's no way we are going anywhere. So on the day of International Day for Street Children, we say thank you all for joining, and it's goodbye for now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Paul.
Bye. Thank you.
Paul.
Yes.
Bye. Paul.
Hello. Yes,
Great
I'm here.
work done.
It's me, Christiana.
Great day work.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Yes, I am here.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Nice
Bye-bye.
hearing from you all. The champions of the streets.
Paul.
Thank you. Yes.
Paul, I'm
Yes,
waiting
I'm here.
for I'm waiting for people to finish off, and I wanted to have a quick word. Unless you want us to speak. Has Ernestina left yet?
I think she is jumping off the call. I am not too sure.
Yes.
Let me see. I
mean,
think
we've still got a few people still hanging around. Or do you want to call me?
yes, maybe. I think everybody's.
It was good.
Yeah, it was me as well. I'm still here, Paul. It was too short because I think we should have.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
we wanted to ask so many questions. Yeah, it feels a bit. I mean, it was really good, very insightful. We had so much more questions that we couldn't get to ask.
Actually,
you made
it was really good.
To account. Maybe if you want to come back if you had asked too many questions.
I may have to end this, then I call you. If
okay. All right.